Good morning, everybody. Let's me share my presentation.
We can see it. It's
Second.
Yes.
Wait a second. I cannot. I'm not so sure. Oh, wait a second. Stop sharing because I'm not sure if it's. Yeah. Again. Slideshow. Share again. Windows and presentation. Okay.
We can see the presentation.
You can see
Yes.
you can see the
Yeah.
presentation, the first page of the presentation. Yes.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, again, good morning, everybody. First of all, thank you for the invitation to be here again, as last year and 2 years ago. It's a big pleasure to be here and speak to you. Together with my colleague João, we are going to talk about the Postdoctoral Fellowships program of the Marijas Sklodovkas-Kirī Actions, which is a European Commission-funded program. Please confirm if the slides moves.
Yes, they are moving. Yes.
Okay, perfect. During the first part of the presentation, I will tell you very briefly what the Marijas Sklodovkas-Kirī actions are, and then give you some more specific details about the Postdoctoral Fellowships program. I'd like also to look at the main objective and talk you through the eligibility criteria that will apply to the call that will open soon, as Alexandra said, on 8th of May, a little bit later as planned. Then I will give the floor to João, who will talk about the application and evaluation process. We have included some slides with data on Lithuania, Latvia, Poland and Slovakia that may be interesting for you, and we will also give you some pieces of advice, and then we will be happy to respond to your questions in the Q&A at the end. What the Marijas Sklodovkas-Kirī actions are, briefly MSCA. This is a EU-level research and mobility program that's been around since mid-1990s. The MSCA attracts a large number of applications. The funding is generally quite competitive as well compared to the other fellowships. And we provide different types of funding for all different career stages of researchers, and that is also part of the attraction. And if I understood correctly, there were already, or there will be the presentation about the other programs, the other parts of this program. This slide shows a very brief overview of that, what the actions look like under the current framework program, which is called Horizon Europe. And as I mentioned before, there is funding available for every different career stages for doctoral level researchers in the doctoral network, for example. In COFAN, there is funding available for both doctoral and postdoctoral research programs. But today we are focusing on the postdoctoral fellowships. The MSc Postdoctoral Fellowships program. For this year, we have a budget of about 404 million euros. It is still to be confirmed, and this means that we can fund around 1,700 individual fellowships. The call will open soon, as I already said, on 8th of May, and it will close in September, on the 10th of September. So you do have a good 5 months window there to prepare your proposals. What is the objective? The objective, at least this is how it is articulated in the work program, is about enhancing the creative and innovative potential of the researchers that already hold a PhD, who are looking to acquire new skills through advanced training in international, interdisciplinary and intersectoral mobility. The mobility, as you see, is the element here really fundamental. It is fundamental part of the program. There is international mobility, of course, but also between disciplines and between different sectors of the economy. The main points about MSCA PF, Marijas Sklodovkas-Kirī Actions Postdoctoral Fellowships. Firstly, you need to have a PhD until 10th of September in order to participate in this program. So it is really for postdoctoral researchers only, and this is an eligibility criterion. To participate, you should also have a maximum of 8 years postdoctoral research experience after you obtained the PhD. There are some exceptions in the calculation here, and I will explain it later. It is also fundamentally an international mobility scheme, so you do have to move to another country in order to be able to receive the funding. And essentially it is a training and career development program through research, so you propose a concrete research project that you will do, and you integrate training and career development program into that project in order to grow your research career. We encourage the secondment and non-academic placement over the course of the project, and I will explain that later. The secondment can take place worldwide for the period of up to 1/3 of the project duration.
Excuse me, we can't hear you.
Yes, Edita, could you please turn on your mic? It's off somehow. Yes, now it's,
Yes.
yes, now it's okay. Now
okay, great. Should I repeat something, or
we lost you at the beginning of the slide.
Okay, I will repeat. You can see here as that the program is very popular, and here you can see the evolution over time of the number of proposals we have received and also the success rates. The success rate is a green line cutting through the middle there, and it's been generally around the 15%. In terms of the number of proposals, the peak was there in 2020, where we received over 11,000 proposals. Last year, we received also a huge number, 10,212 proposals, with the success rate 16.6, and we funded 1,696 projects. In practice, there are mono-beneficiary projects, so it's one researcher who is hosted at a single host organization. That host organization must be located in a EU or Horizon Europe associated country. The associated countries participate on the completely equal basis as EU member states. The program is open to all research domains, including Euroatom, and that we will try to come back to that in a moment. We have two different types of postdoctoral fellowships, as you maybe know, European and Global Fellowship. European Fellowship, actually that is the vast majority of the fellowships that we fund, and these are for researchers coming to Europe from any country in the world or moving within Europe. They have single period of duration of maximum 12 months, of minimum 12 months and maximum of 24 months, and more than 3/4 of the fellowships that we fund take this form essentially. Then we have global fellowships. These are fellowships which involve an outgoing phase. So you would go to the third country. For example, you leave Europe to go to the US, to Japan, to China, a country that is not a EU member state or associated country. You spend there 12 to 24 months at the host institution in that country, and then come back for the return phase of 12 months to a host country within the EU or associated country. These have generally longer duration, between 24 and 36 months. In both cases, European and global, the period of the grant can be extended by 6 months by adding a non-academic placement at the end of the project, which I will elaborate in a moment. Now we will look at the eligibility criteria in some more details. As I said before, it is really for postdoctoral researchers only, and that is an eligibility criterion for you to participate. If your doctoral degree has not been awarded before 10th September, but you have defended your PhD before the call deadline, and the defense is unconditional, in such case you meet this criterion as well. However, you may be asked to prove that once funded. Regarding research experience, you should have no more than 8 years full-time equivalent postdoctoral research experience by the call deadline, and that is counted from PhD award date. However, the time spent outside research does not count, so if you have been on the parental leave or you have had non-research related job during that period, then it is possible to extend the 8 years period. The third eligibility criterion is mobility requirement, and as I said also before, mobility is a key point of the MSCA EF. While choosing the host country, you must be careful that you didn't stay more than 12 months within 36 months period of the call deadline in this country. For global fellowships, the mobility requirement is also the same, but it relates to a third country partner for outgoing phase, like US, Japan, or Australia. Regarding the nationality, for the European fellowships, any nationality is possible. However, for global fellowships, the candidate must be nationals or long-term residents of EU member states or associated countries under Horizon Europe. Long-term residence means legal and uninterrupted stay of at least 5 years. Just to give you 2 examples here of eligibility and how it works. First example for European fellowships. Let's take a researcher of Polish nationality who was awarded a PhD in 2020 in Germany. They remain resident in Germany and they apply for European fellowships together with a host institution in Poland. So if we look at the eligibility here, they were awarded a PhD before the call deadline. They have less than 8 years since the award of the PhD. And since they are resident in Germany and they was not a resident of Poland for more than 12 months in the previous 3 years, on this basis the researcher is eligible to apply with the host institution in Poland, even though they are Polish nationals. As I said, it is a physical mobility requirement, is not about the researcher's nationality. The second example, a global fellowship. Let's take an Indian researcher who is currently living in Latvia. They have been there for the previous 3 years. They have a PhD awarded in 2022, and they apply for global fellowships with the host in France and an outgoing phase in the US. So the question here is, do they have a PhD before the call deadline? Yes. Is it less than 8 years since awarded the PhD? Yes. But are they a long-term resident in the EU or associated country? That is the question here that would need to be answered to be eligible for the global fellowships. This researcher must be living for more than 5 years consecutively in the EU or associated country, and that needs to be checked. Now I would like to return for a moment to the terms of secondment and non-academic placements, because there is a lot of confusion about them. First of all, as I said, we do encourage secondment and non-academic placement as a part of the project. However, when drafting the proposal, it is important to use the correct terminology and not confuse these 2 elements and even 3 elements, because they are secondment, non-academic placement, and a short visit, which is, for example, field work. Secondments are possible anywhere in the world up to 1/3 of the project duration, and intersectorality is something we particularly encourage here. And it can be very useful for career development of the candidate, knowing that many people doing PhD and postdocs ultimately won't stay in a university environment. So exposure to activities in the non-academic sector as part of the program can be really useful. Secondment can be divided into several shorter periods with a maximum duration of up to 1/3 of the standard project length, which means that for a 24 months project, the maximum duration of secondment is 8 months. For global fellowships, the maximum duration is also up to 1/3 months, but of the outgoing phase, and the secondment must take place during this phase. And also for global fellowships, there is the possibility of the secondment, which can take place at the beneficiary at the start of the project of the maximum 3 months. One remark here, there is no additional budget for secondment. It should be covered by the institutional budget. The non-academic placement is something that should be an integral part of the proposal and cannot be added later, which means that it has to be requested upfront when you submit the application. The reason for that is that there is additional budget for the non-academic placement foreseen. That's why it should be known from the beginning. This can be up to 6 months. It must take place at the end of the normal project duration, and it has to be in a non-academic institution located in a member state or associated country. If we see that the non-academic placement proposed is not a non-academic and it is, for example, a university instead, then that would be disregarded during the evaluation, and it can, not must necessarily, but it can have an impact of the final score. But please pay attention if you want to choose the non-academic placement, that it is non-academic, really not a non-academic institution. Here you can see 2 examples how the project can look like, which maybe gives you more clarification about the secondment and non-academic placements as well. European Fellowships example, as you can see, we have a 24 months project with additional 6 months NAP, non-academic placement, at the end with total duration of 30 months, 24 plus 6. Within the 24 months duration, there are 2 months secondments, month 3 and 4, and then 11 and 12, and they can take place in the same or different institutions. And now an example of global fellowships. There is a 24 months outgoing phase at the beginning in the third country, like for example Japan, and then 12 months mandatory return phase in a beneficiary country within the EU or associated country. There are also 2 phases of secondment here foreseen, which can only take place during the outgoing phase, and it is well highlighted here. 3 months secondment take place at the beginning of the project at the beneficiary, which is allowed, as I said already. And then there is 5 months secondment, which can be somewhere in the world, like for example in China. On top of that, a non-academic placement is possible. Now a few words about funding levels under the current work program. The living allowance at the moment is almost 6,000 euros per month. This is a gross amount that is augmented by mobility allowances that everybody receives. The family allowance you would receive, the living allowance, the mobility allowance you would receive as well. The family allowance you would receive if you are eligible because you have family obligations. The living allowance is corrected by a country correction coefficient that is applicable to the country of the host beneficiary. So for very high cost country like Denmark, for example, the amount will be significantly higher than in lower cost country like Poland or Portugal. For the global postdoctoral fellowships, 2 different country corrections coefficients apply. For the outgoing phase, the coefficient of the country where the postdoctoral researcher is hosted, like as I said, US or Japan or Australia. And for the return phase, the coefficient of the country where the postdoctoral researcher returned to. It means European country. Then there is an institutional unit contribution which are made available for the implementation of the project at the host institution or institutions, including secondment. Here I will finish my part of the presentation. Thank you for your attention, and I give the floor to João.
So yeah, it's my pleasure to also join this day, and Edita presented the rules and the general aspects about practical aspects. Starting with the
João, I think we have some problems with your mic. Yes, it's very, very quiet.
Is it better now?
It's better. Yes,
okay,
it's better.
Sorry, it was lifted.
It's fine.
Yes, so I was just saying that I will focus now on more practical aspects regarding the proposal preparation, and I will also present you the evaluation process so that you are aware of on how this goes after you submit your proposals. So just a warning, so the the updated templates for the 2025 call are not available yet. This will be published in the Funding and Tenders portal in the call page. So we provide the link here that we'll have then later on with the slides. So we advise you to check the call page for updates. So this should be available in a couple of weeks in principle. Now, so your proposal is composed of two parts, part A and part B. In part A, this is where there's like, it presents some aspects of the proposal plus the administrative information. So regarding the project itself, part A presents the acronym and the title that you chose for the project. You have to select a scientific area. So basically you have to select one panel out of the 8 available scientific panels that we provide. And this should be based on your understanding of what would be the best fit for the evaluation of your proposal. You need to indicate 3 to 5 descriptors, which are actually keywords that should best characterize the content of the proposal in descending order of relevance. The first 3 descriptors are linked to the panel that you selected, and the other 2 are unrestricted, so you can select 2 descriptors from any of the panels that we have available for you. In addition, you should also provide some additional free keywords that would, better describe the project. So descriptors and keywords are important because this will help us to match the scientific content of your proposal to the expertise of the experts that will do the evaluation. So, you should pay attention to this and select the ones that fit best your project. You also have to provide an abstract of your project, and you should also indicate whether this is a resubmission of a proposal that was submitted in a previous call, but that was unsuccessful. Then, regarding a more administrative part, you have to provide information on the beneficiary, which is the host institution, including, of course, the information on the supervisor, who the supervisor will be for the project. In case of global fellowships, you must indicate the outgoing phase host information as well, and you will have to provide a letter of commitment by this host in part B2. And this is one of the, it's one of the admissibility criteria. So basically this you must provide, otherwise your proposal will not be accepted. In addition, if you have an app, a non-academic placement in your proposal, you provide also the information on the respective host in part A. And you will see while preparing the proposal that if you do things correctly, then you will see that the NAP budget will be added in the budget table. So this will be visible that there is additional budget provided for the NAP. It's important to note that the secondment hosts must not be included in part A. And then finally, the last part of part A includes information on the researcher, including the PhD award date or the date of the successful and unconditional defense of the PhD, if in case the official award has not been given yet. And you also have to provide a list of the countries of residence and the respective periods over the last 5 years up until the call deadline. Now, moving on to part B of the proposal, which is made of 2 parts, part B1 and part B2, that are uploaded in the Funding and Tenders portal as separate PDF files. So the part B1 contains the technical description of the project, and we will provide the templates as mentioned in the call page once this is finalized. And please note that you must use the template that we provide for this year's call, and don't use templates that have been available in previous year's calls, because sometimes there might be some changes in the templates, and so you should always use the latest one. The part B1 has a limit of 10 pages. And this is quite important because any pages beyond the 10th page will be removed from the proposal, and evaluators will not have access to them. So they will really not be taken into consideration for the evaluation. Also very important is that you comply to the formatting conditions that we provide in the template. So there's the minimum font size, but also there's also other conditions regarding the line spacing, etc. So make sure you comply to these, because this will also be checked by the experts. So this is the criteria description that you have to address in your part B1. So there's 3 main criteria: excellence, impact, and then the quality and efficiency of the implementation. So in the excellence criterion, that's where you describe the project objectives, the innovation, the ambitiousness of the projects, etc. Also the methodology, what you plan to do during the project, and then also you have to address the supervision and the training activities that are planned during the project, and finally how appropriate the researcher's professional experience is to implement the project as it's described in the proposal. The second part refers to the impact on the career of the researcher first, and also the general impact in terms of scientific impact on the society, etc. And you should also describe the measures that you will take to increase the impact of your proposal, basically regarding dissemination, communication activities that you will undertake to ensure that the project results are appropriately advertised and visible to the outside world. The third criteria, so the quality and efficiency of the implementation, has a first part where it's focused on the work plan for the project, and the second part where you should address the quality and capacity of the institutions that will participate in the project. For part B2, there's no formal page limit, and here you will have the opportunity to present your CV. We have an indicative length for the CV of 5 pages. And then you also have to present the capacity of the participating organizations. So there's, as you will see in the template, there's like one table that should be presented for the beneficiary and for all the other participating organizations, including the outgoing phase host, the NAP host, if applicable, and also in this case, you do have to present the secondment host as well, and any organizations that are linked to the beneficiary and involved in the implementation of the project. For global fellowships, as mentioned, it's imperative that you add a letter of commitment from the respective host, because otherwise your proposal will not be admissible. Yeah. So now I'll move to the evaluation process. Sorry, it seems that I'm being muted. As you may imagine, this is a very large-scale evaluation process, taking into account that, for instance, last year we received over 10,000 proposals. It's a standard peer review process. We have 3 experts that are assigned to evaluate each of the proposals. We aim to have some balance in terms of the experience, nationality, gender, age, and the sector of the experts that are involved. And as mentioned, you can submit the proposals to 8 scientific panels that are mentioned here, and you'll find more details then in the guide for applicants and the template, the application form. It's also a single stage evaluation. For the timing, yes, as Edita mentioned, so there's about actually, after the call deadline, there's about 5 months until for the evaluation process to take place, until the funding decision is taken and communicated to all applicants. And following this communication, then we have about 3 months to proceed with the grant agreement signature. So some more detail on the evaluation process. first, we start with allocating proposals to expert, and as I mentioned, this is based on the scientific field of the proposal, including the descriptors and the keywords that you provided, so that are matched with also the keywords that are provided by the experts. Each proposal is assigned to three independent experts. Each one of them will assess the proposal and will write an individual evaluation report. Then one of them is nominated as a rapporteur, who will lead a discussion to reach a consensus evaluation for the proposal. And then this will lead to the production of the consensus report, which is then further translated into the evaluation summary report, which will be provided to you once the call results are communicated to the applicants. In terms of the evaluation criteria, just to tell you that there's a criteria weighting, which is shown here. So 50% for the excellence criterion, 30% for impact, and 20% for the quality and efficiency of the implementation. Following the evaluation, the proposals are ranked and the funding is allocated by scientific panel and also by type of fellowship. So within each panel, there will be a ranking list for European fellowships and a separate one for the global fellowships. All the proposals that have a score above 85% but did not reach the funding thresholds will be awarded a seal of excellence. And this, in some countries, it gives access to national funding. So there might be some other funding schemes that you may be able to access with the seal of excellence if your proposal scores above 85%. If your proposal scores less than 70%, you won't be able to resubmit the same proposal. And here the concept is that a proposal, the resubmission rule really applies to proposals having the same researcher and the same hosts. So the scientific content does not matter when you talk about this resubmission concept. It's really proposals with the same researcher and same host. So for instance, if you submitted a proposal in the 2024 call that received less than 70%, you won't be able to resubmit a proposal with the same host institution this year. You could submit the same proposal or hopefully an improved version, but you have to submit it with a different host institution. REA staff will ensure that the evaluation rules are respected during the whole process. And we also have an independent observer that is assigned specifically to scrutinize the entire evaluation and provide feedback on the process. Sorry, let me just remove this. So there is an additional scheme which is called the ERA Fellowships that you may be aware of. And these are awarded to host organizations that are located in widening countries. And so widening countries include actually the 4 countries that are represented here today, so Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, and Slovakia. These are open to researchers of any nationality, and the evaluation is done under the MSCA PF 2025 call. So basically, you apply to the MSCA 2025 call normally, but then there is a box in Part A that you should tick where you agree to be considered for the ERA Fellowships call in case your proposal is not funded in the main list of the MSCA PF. So once we fund the proposals in the main list, the remaining proposals are then checked, and the top scoring proposals after the main list in widening countries, they will be selected for funding through the ERA Fellowship scheme. So this significantly increases your funding opportunities, and it has an indicative budget of 8 million euros this year. There's also the MSCA Euratom Research and Training Program. This aims to enhance nuclear expertise and excellence, as well as synergies between programs, organizations active in nuclear research, established in one of the EU member states of countries associated to the Euratom Research and Training programs. So applicants must comply to all conditions defined in MSCA PF call, and then specific eligibility conditions apply to fellowships that in the areas that are covered by the Euratom research. So basically, again, you apply normally to the MSCA PF, and then if your proposal is eligible for the Euratom program, then it can be considered for that. So finally, I just want to mention a few common errors that we might see. So one that you really want to avoid, of course, is to miss the call deadline. So, take that into account and make sure you submit your proposal in advance of the call deadline. Often we see that the eligibility requirements sometimes are not respected. So pay attention to, to make sure that you're eligible. So regarding your PhD date, the mobility, or the 8 years research experience. Make sure you don't exceed the page limit, that you include a letter of commitment in case you're applying for a global fellowship. As Edita mentioned, make sure you understand the difference between secondments and non-academic placements and the eligibility of non-academic placements as well. And make sure you are compliant to all the formatting conditions that we provide. This is the indicative deadline. So as mentioned earlier, the call deadline is in September. The evaluation will go on until January, and in principle, the information letters are sent in February next year, and your project could start from April 2026 until September 2027. Now, very briefly, as I see, I think we're running out of time, I will show some data on success rates for applications for both institutions and researchers from the 4 countries that are represented here. So starting with Latvia, we see that in terms of the host institutions, there have been a couple of proposals funded in 2022 and 2023, and this refers to the main list, because there might have been additional proposals that have been funded either in the reserve list or via the ERA fellowship program. Regarding proposals with Latvian researchers, there's a few, as you can see here, every year. So yeah. Regarding Lithuania, there's a few more proposals that have been funded in Lithuanian hosts, and the same with Lithuanian researchers, which have been more or less stable in terms of number, and the success rate, that the line here is more or less close to the overall success rate for the call, which is the purple line. For Polish hosts, the numbers look good, because we see that there is an increase in funded proposals from Polish host institutions in the last 4 years, and so the success rate for Polish institution is approaching from the overall success rate of the call. And in terms of proposals from Polish researchers, the success rate is quite similar to the overall success rate for the call. And finally, for Slovakia, there have been some proposals funded over the years as well. In 2024, there were no proposals in the main list, but there might be others that, as mentioned, could have been funded via the ERA fellowships or that were in the reserve list. And for the Slovakian researchers, I think the success rate is again similar to the overall call success rate. So we will provide the slides with some links that are available here, and the main one is the call page that we advise you to check, and this is where the updated documents will be available. So thank you for your attention, and we can now take some questions if there is still time for that. Yeah.